Taiwan, I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. 2 US Congress members have introduced a bill that would make it easier for Taiwan to purchase US arms, aiming to deter a potential Chinese attack. US Senator Rick Scott and House Representative Scott Perry introduced the TaiwanPlus Act in both chambers on Wednesday. The bill would shorten the time needed to approve arms purchases by Taiwan and raise spending limits to match those of NATO Plus members like Japan and South Korea. These countries are not official NATO members but have close military ties with the US. Taiwan is a significant buyer of US defense equipment, ramping up its purchases in recent years. Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party has expelled 5 members suspected of spying for China. All 5 had worked with Taiwan's government. One was a consultant in President Lai Ching-te's office. Another was an aide to Joseph Wu when he served as foreign minister. Wu is now the National Security Council chief. The DPP's Central Evaluation Committee chair is urging party members and the public to be extra vigilant of China's infiltration efforts.
我们要再次跟中共来呼吁了哈，任何的收买、任何的渗透，甚至于统战台湾的行为，我想这都只会让台湾人民更加的反感了哈。所以我们还是要再次的呼吁中共应该要停止这样的行为。
The number of Taiwanese people charged with spying for China has increased in recent years, according to Taiwan's National Security Bureau. Taiwan's drone companies are seeking to expand into the US market to bolster an industry seen as critical to national security.
那很核心点部分美国当然一定就是主力市场我们在看的，在完全要去中国化红色供应链的一个无人机的产业状况，台湾就是全世界最好的 partner， 希望说能够成为replace DJI 的一个将来一个产品。
Taiwan's drone makers attended the Exponential Drone Show in Houston, Texas, as part of their push. The industry is being highly promoted by the government as part of its asymmetrical defense strategy. The head of the US de facto embassy in Taiwan, Raymond Green, also flew to Houston for the event. He says the US and Taiwan's economies and industrial capabilities in drones complement each other. Do you need the internet to use AI? Well, some products debuting at this year's Computex trade show in Taipei say maybe not. And your home or office could be a tiny data center. As our tech reporter Chris Gorin tells us, no matter how small, these devices are reliant on Taiwan's tech ecosystem.
At Computex 2025, there's plenty of cool computer cases and demonstrations of how AI assistants can act as concierge. Assistant director for your live stream can help you visualize your home remodel or generate multiple versions of reality. But some devices being shown this year are not just about what AI can do, but where AI does it, moving from distant cloud computers to devices much closer to us, a trend known as hybrid or edge AI.
So I think that when we're seeing the distribution of AI moving not out of the cloud, but expanding also to the edge and to desktop and laptops and freeing small to medium-sized businesses, being able to do AI workloads and do training locally. I think that kind of changes the game a little bit.
And AI is a business where size matters.
Training or using AI models used to rely on data centers filled with massive servers like these. But the industry is changing, bringing that power closer to home with AI computers that can even fit in your hand.
It's not just about convenience. Creating and using AI models locally and offline can be more secure and faster, leading to quicker breakthroughs in other fields.
This is going to be an exciting time because this is when AI becomes super useful for, whether it's curing cancer or trying to solve for climate change.
So will you eventually be able to train AI models, say, on your smartphone?
Certainly. Yes, I do. I do think we'll get to that point. Because the models will become more efficient and the computing power will get greater and greater.
Whether it's a smartphone or a data center, all these AI promises hinge on AI chips. And right now, Taiwanese chip giant TSMC manufactures nearly every leading AI chip, and it's racing to keep up with growing demand.
TSMC is still a situation where demand is much higher than supply, and TSMC is still ramping up all these plants to get that back into sync or to meet that demand.
That may be why companies like NVIDIA announced even more investment in Taiwan at Computex, such as its new Constellation office in Taipei. The company's need for chips is vast, as it makes deals to provide tens, even hundreds of thousands of AI chips to countries across the world, including Taiwan. And these new investments in the country come despite widespread predictions that the industry could diversify away from the long-running leader.
I think there are a lot of themes going on at Computex this year, and one of them is obviously the sort of resurgence of Taiwan, where the chip industry is sort of, not planting its flag, but maybe not replanting it, cementing it. That Taiwan is still very much at the center of this and matters a lot.
As AI moves into our homes, offices, and pockets, Computex is revealing a future that's smaller, smarter, and still made in Taiwan. Klein Wong and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
2 deadly car crashes in Taiwan this week have reignited a national outcry over pedestrian safety. As grief turns to frustration, road safety advocates and lawmakers are demanding urgent action, and they're taking to the streets on Sunday to make their voices heard. John Van Trieste reports.
驾照回讯放水!
Outside the legislature, campaigners and lawmakers gather in collective anger. It's been 3 days since a driver slammed into a busy intersection in New Taipei, killing 3 people and injuring 12. The cause of the crash is still unclear, but there are suggestions the driver's age, 78, may have been a factor. What is known is that the driver was able to renew his license earlier this year without problems, despite having hit another pedestrian in the past. While the nation is still in shock, campaigners here say the crash is just one in a long string of tragedies on Taiwan's roads, including a similar deadly crash in Tainan on Tuesday. They say road safety is so bad that it's even made the news abroad, with CNN calling Taiwan a pedestrian hell in 2022. They say it's time to do something to turn this around. So on Sunday, they're marching through Taipei to demand government action. The government is moving. The Transportation Ministry is lowering the age of mandatory license renewal from 75 to 70, among other rule changes. But these activists say this renewal process is still too easy and could easily miss people who can no longer drive safely.
他只是问你简简单单的你几年出生，今天是几号，你有没有色盲，这些完完全全非常简单的题目，只是简单的健检题目，没有任何的路考，没有任何的笔试，只是这样子就放任驾驶上路了。
And some of the speakers say inaction on reforming the license renewal system spans decades, even though reports and public hearings have pointed to the need for change.
1993年，交通部就第一次提出了驾照回训必要性的报告。我想说的是，驾照回训并不是交通上的新议题，而是一段长达32年的改革路。从1993年交通部首次提出驾照回训必要性的报告开始，历经了5任的总统，到今天还没有完成。
5 lawmakers from all 3 parties with seats in the legislature have come to give their suggestions. From the Taiwan People's Party, these include changes to traffic rules and signage, and the central government making order out of scattered local efforts at improving road safety.
学校旁边的设置，各个地方政府其实在学校旁边都做了非常多的努力，但是没有统一的规范的话，是没有办法强制或者是给予更多的惩罚。
The main opposition Kuomintang representative says license renewal should depend on the ability to drive safely, not just age. And he criticized the Transportation Ministry's reform plans.
我们看到交通部似乎只为了回应社会的一个期待，来做出的一个调整，他也并没有从科学化、数据化告诉大家为什么是从75改到70，是一个感觉吗？
And voices from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party included calls for lower speed zones around schools, and to be more forceful about taking away licenses when needed.
我也认为我们现在应该要更积极的来去把这些曾经有肇事或是违规的记录的这些驾驶者呢，我们应该要有一个预警系统，然后并且主动关怀。那如果他没有执行，我们应该有一个退场机制。
As lawmakers aired their ideas, the activists here put forward 3 demands that will be the focus of Sunday's march.
第一点是我们要全面建立回训制度，第二点是我们高龄驾驶的回训要改革，第三点是我们的交通工程要改善。
They hope to put pressure on the government to meet these demands, so that preventable traffic deaths they say have tarnished Taiwan's reputation will be a thing of the past. Scott Huang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Smartphones in class could soon be a thing of the past as Taiwan's education ministry mulls stricter regulations that could force schools to keep their students' mobile phones under lock and key. The time between classes is a brief window for students to hop on Instagram or get in a few rounds on their favourite mobile game. But having constant mobile phone access at schools in Taiwan could soon be a privilege revoked. Taiwan's education ministry has submitted a draft bill that would mean stricter regulations on students using phones in schools from September. Lawmakers agree that phones are having a negative impact on young people's education, but say any solution needs to include their perspectives too.
手机规范的管理应该是我们要来帮助在校园里面的学习品质，但是绝对不能造成校园民主的倒退。所以尊重学生的声音，我们希望教育部一定要来坚持。
As it stands, the draft bill will force elementary and junior high schools to collect and store all students' phones for the entire school day. For senior high schools, they'll need to formulate their own smartphone policies after consulting with teachers, parents and students. Students will only be given access to their phones in case of an emergency or if it's needed for educational purposes. The proposed changes are welcomed by many, though some are concerned about how they'll be implemented.
Well, I think it's a great idea, but with most things like this, the devil is in the details, and actually executing it is going to be a challenge. I mean, these are very expensive devices that you're separating from their owners, which leaves the issue of liability there. The school where I'm currently employed has already banned cell phones, but students still do find a way to get them and use them in class.
And while many students agree phones can be a distraction, particularly for younger children, some senior high schoolers say they could be losing a valuable learning tool.
因为有些东西你是不一定只能在书本上或是问老师就可以问得到的东西，而且因为班上人数这么多，所以你要查一个东西的时候，也要自己善用自己身边的工具。
对我来讲，高中生应该是可以完全自主使用手机。那国小跟国中的话，我还是会觉得，国小的话，我觉得是建议不要用手机，因为确实不太，就是还在发育的年龄，感觉还不太会可以自己管控手机的使用方式。
If passed, Taiwan would join a growing list of countries with some form of phone ban in schools, including China, Australia, and many across Europe, as education officials the world over turn on to the idea of getting students to turn these off. Chris Ma and Reece in Taipei for TaiwanPlus. Conservationists in Taiwan have released 3 rehabilitated sea turtles back into the ocean to mark International Biological Diversity Day.
他们这3只动物，他们当初都是因为搁浅啊，或者是渔民通报抓鱼的时候不小心去抓到的，不外乎就是这些原因。这也是台湾常见的一些海龟搁浅的一些常见的事件。
The 3 animals, 1 green sea turtle and 2 olive ridley sea turtles, were released at Hobihu Beach in southern Taiwan. Before that, they had spent months at a rehabilitation centre at the National Museum of Marine Biology and Aquarium. There are 11 other sea turtles still recovering at the facility there. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we take a sneak peek at a new exhibition in London that takes fans on a journey through the history of British music. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.